Welcome to our house, the House of Fi. At the House of Fi, we are all about achieving financial independence for families. Wherever you are in your financial independence journey, we want our house to be a place where you can learn and get inspired. If you are a parent on the journey to Fi, then come on in. We're glad that you're here. Here are your hosts, Wendy and Tamika.
Hey, House of Five family. Before we get into our great interview, I just wanted to let you know that we have an awesome 21-day money challenge on our website that if you are maybe struggling to find savings in your budget or struggling to find extra money to pay off debt, or you just need to kickstart your mindset, this challenge is for you. Tamika and I worked really hard on it. It's a great offering for you, and it's totally free. So we'd love for you to dive into that, join our Facebook group, and you can ask us any additional questions you might have or maybe get some support. And then the other thing is that our bonus episode that we did a couple weeks ago was so successful. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be having FinCon Fridays. Back in September of this year, I was able to attend FinCon, and it was an amazing experience. And I got to meet some amazing people, and I did a few interviews while I was there. So these are going to be live, unedited recordings of some really great people like Andy Hill of Marriage, Kids, and Money, Michelle of Making Sense of Sense, Tom Sylvester of Lifestyle Builders, and a couple others. They're just some really great interviews with some really great information. So be sure to tune in again on Friday. Now, who's on today? Welcome to the show, House of Five family. With me today is Michelle Schroeder, Gardner. She has the blog Making Sense of Sense, and we are here live at FinCon. So if you hear some background noise, that's what it is. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. If our listeners don't know who you are, why don't you tell me just a little bit about?
Yeah, so I run Making Sense of Sense. I started it back in August of 2011. It was completely a hobby. I didn't know blogs could make money or anything like that. And it was just a way for me to talk about my student loan debt. Back then I had around $40,000 in student loan debt, and my blog was basically just like journaling my progress with that, with paying it off, side hustling, saving more money, living paycheck to paycheck and stuff like that. Eventually I started earning money from it. It became my full-time career. I left my job as a financial analyst. And probably the most fun thing about me is that I travel full-time with my husband and our two dogs. And right now we're on a boat.
Which is so incredible. So are you on a sailboat?
Yep, we're on a sailing catamaran.
And how long have you been on that?
We've been on it since May, and so we sold our house in February of 2015, and we have been traveling full-time since. It was via RV before, and now it's boat.
So your husband, does he have his own sort of remote job, or this is your
This is for both of us. So mainly I work on the business. He helps a little bit, but his main thing is taking care of the boat is like 5 full-time jobs. Right. And so he's pretty much like cleaning something, maintaining something, or repairing something like all day long. And we have a new boat, and that's still the case. Yes, if anyone's wondering.
Even with the new boat.
Yeah, you're still doing stuff.
So how does that work? Are you going just along coastlines, or are you out in the open water? Like, what did it take for you to be on a boat full-time like that? And then what's the plan?
Yeah, so my husband has a lot more experience than I do. In January and February of 2018, he actually went from France to Croatia, and that was about 3,000 nautical miles. And then for me, then he also did just 2 months ago, he did from Puerto Rico to St. Pete, Florida, and I think that was about 1,000 nautical miles. So he has a lot more like open ocean experience and stuff than I do. For me, though, I haven't really done too much. I've mainly just sailed through Florida, and I did like the British Virgin Islands. But eventually after this, we're hoping to hop over to the Bahamas in a few months, and then we are hoping to just go from there. Like I would definitely love to sail up to like Maine. I'd love to sail like go through the Panama Canal and cross the Pacific. We definitely want to do like the Mediterranean. We just have lots of goals. Well, not really goals, just lots of bucket list things that we want to do.
Do you have a home base?
No, we don't. We sold that house in Missouri in 2015.
So how does that work with like mail and?
That's always the number one question I get. So when we first started RVing, we used a company. They actually no longer exist as of like 30 days ago. But there's lots of like mail forwarding companies in South Dakota and Florida and Texas. And those are like the three states that probably 90% of full-time RVers and full-time sailors choose as their home base. You can't see that, but that was air quotes.
You guys can't see those.
Yeah.
We're both doing air quotes.
Yeah. So those are the three states that everyone chooses. At first we were South Dakota. Now we chose Florida since we're on a boat. And pretty much you can just find a company. Like right now we use St. Brendan's Isle, and all of our mail gets sent there, and it's like completely legal. Their address is on our driver's license. It's on our titles and everything like that. And it's completely legal by like government, DMV and stuff like that. So all of our mail just gets sent there, and then they actually scan all my mail online so I can see like exactly what I have. They weed through all the junk mail, so I don't have to ever deal with junk mail.
That's awesome.
And whenever I want mail, I just tell them the address that I want it sent to, and they just mail it like in a nice little package or a box right to me. So it's
Very
super
cool.
easy, and it's actually very nice.
Yeah. Have somebody sorting through your mail. We don't.
And it's super affordable too. I think I pay like $15 a month, and they scan it and everything for me.
That is great.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were going to say like, $100 or something.
No, yeah.
$15. That's awesome. But do you have any like safety concerns being out on the water?
I mean, if I said there was no safety concerns, someone would have to like hit me upside the head. 'Cause, I mean, there's always going to be something. For us, I mean, we're prepared as we can be, and there's definitely things that we're always learning. But no, I'm not going to let any safety concerns hold me back.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets about being on the water, or is it surpassed what you thought it was going to be?
So I just told this story to someone else, and so we bought the boat, and my husband had a lot of experience, a decent amount. And then me, I didn't really have a ton. I did like a 10-day sailing trip in the BVIs, and I've been on boats, but I didn't really know much about sailing. So, and our boat's like really big. It's 42 feet long, 25 feet wide. So the scariest part to me is actually docking it. And if you talk to a lot of sailors, it's the docking part that's scary. So I remember the first time we took a docking class, and I just thought to myself, like, I don't know if I can ever do this. Like, what did I get myself into? But ever since then, we've docked it like hundreds of times. Like, we go out a few times a week, and it hasn't been a problem at all.
How do your dogs?
They actually do really, really well. So part of the reason why we chose a catamaran was because it's a little more flat and stable. So, and our dogs are a little bit older. They're almost 12 and like 10 or 11. So, and one's 80 pounds. So like the 15-pound dog, we can just like throw him on the boat. He is fine. He is perfectly happy anywhere that we are. But the 80-pound dog, we constantly wondered before we got the boat, like, I hope we can bring her onto the boat. I hope she doesn't fall in and stuff like that. But no, it's been really, really good. There hasn't been any issues. And before we got the boat, people kept telling us, like, dogs are adaptable. Your dog will love the boat. And that's really what we've come to learn. And it's been really, really good. Yeah. No one's got seasick yet. No humans or dogs.
That's what I'm always afraid of, is getting seasick. Every time I get on a boat, except for like a cruise ship, I get seasick. Awful.
Yeah.
Because I want to enjoy it so badly. So I want to go back to the beginning and talk about your money story. And you said originally that you started the blog just kind of as a journaling the journey. Did you monetize it in the beginning, or was that just a progression?
It was definitely a progression. So when I first started making Sense of Sense, I didn't know that blogs could make money or anything like that. I remember in the very beginning, I was actually writing about how I wanted to pay off my student loans, but I was working like 40 hours a week just on my blog. And that was on top of me being a financial analyst. And I was doing it all for free on the blog. And I remember writing, I need to find a second job because I need to pay off my student loans. And eventually readers were commenting and emailing me, and they're just like, why don't you just make a little bit of money from your blog? Like, you're spending all this time on it. And I just had never even thought of it before then. And I remember, so a blogging friend of mine, Crystal from Budgeting and the Fun Stuff, which is a great blog, she had income reports back then. And I remember she emailed me like 6 or 7 months in, and she said, Michelle, do you want to make like an easy $100 just partnering with a company that you probably already use? And that was how I made my first $100. It was all just through networking with another personal finance blogger and her connecting me with an advertiser.
Do you think that that there's still money to be made for people who might want to get into blogging?
Okay, so when I first started my blog in August of 2011, I was told then that blogs were dead. And then when I first actually left my job to blog full time, I actually remember people still telling me blogs are dead. What are you doing? And so, I mean, I feel like people are just always going to say that. But what I always like to tell people is that blogs are just now starting to become popular and being noticed by companies and advertisers. Like before, I mean, there's always been like sponsored partnerships and stuff, but I mean, lately it's like really, really popular. I mean, if you're about to buy something, you're probably looking on Instagram to see like if you follow like a famous Instagrammer, do they use that product? I know for me, like if I'm about to buy something travel related, I'm looking to see what my favorite person who rock climbs is using or hikes or travels, like what suitcase are all the travel Instagrammers using? Like I want the best of the best. I'm looking at who I'm following for that advice. And I feel like companies and advertisers are starting to realize that. I feel like before people really looked at celebrities for things like that. Yeah. Now I feel like it's the people who specialize in that specific area, and companies are starting to notice that.
So the answer would be yes.
Yes.
There still is.
Yeah, that was my long answer, but yes.
Awesome. Were you always frugal?
I've always been very frugal. I guess it's just been very natural for me. I've never been the type of person who's just wasted money, except for like my teenage years when I spent like way too much money on clothing and food and stuff. But I mean, I've always been very frugal. I've always saved a lot. And I've always realized that there is a healthy balance though. And like my husband will, a lot of the times he'll like get me out of the box and he'll be like, go buy that shirt that you want. Because seriously, even though I make 6 figures a month, I'm still like, I don't know if I need it though. And so, I mean, you definitely need a healthy balance. So for me, that's something I'm always working on. Like if you're going to make money, you should also enjoy it, but you should also save and invest it as well.
So you mentioned that you're making 6 figures a month. Mm-hmm. How long did it take you to get to that?
So I want to say, it took me 6 or 7 months to make that first $100 for making sense of sense. And around 1 year after that, I was between $500 to $1,000 a month, I think. And then by the time I left my day job to blog full time, which was 2 years after, I was making anywhere from like $5,000 to $10,000 a month. But that was like blogging, freelance writing, social media management. It was all like online business stuff. And then, so in 2015, I made around $300,000. Then 2016, I made $900,000. So it was probably around 2016 to 2017.
Have you scaled back kind of what you do, and have you honed in kind of what is the thing or the couple of things that are bringing you the most income?
Yeah, that is a good question. So the jump to 6 figures actually happened in around 2016 because I actually fired all of my freelance clients because I realized it was taking up way too much of my time. And I know a lot of people really enjoy freelancing, but I realized that it wasn't for me. Yeah. I wanted to focus on making sense of sense in my own blogging business. And so I fired all of my freelance clients like in one day. I just sent them all an email and I said, I'm turning in my notice. Like I'll still work for the things that you want me to do. I'll finish up all those tasks, but after that, you'll have to find someone to replace me. And after that, my income tripled just the next month, just because I was able to focus so much more time on my own business instead of everyone else's. So I definitely recommend analyzing what you actually want to do, what brings in the income, and what makes you happy.
What are some of the side hustles you think that some of our families might be able to commit to or bring into their lives then?
There's definitely a lot of different side hustles. So for me, when I was looking to pay off my student loan debt and I didn't know I could blog, I was doing so many different things. I was taking surveys. I was participating in market research studies on the phone, which a lot of times those can actually pay pretty well. I remember getting paid a few $100s.
Oh, wow.
I did a little bit of brand influencing where I would go to Best Buy and be one of those people who ask questions. And those actually paid $100 an hour. I also mystery shopped. I sold items around my home and on eBay. I did so many different things, but definitely my favorite side hustle in the beginning was blogging. And that's definitely something I still love today for sure.
So you're obviously making a very lucrative income. Why do you still do it?
Because I really love it still. I love like all the reader emails. I love helping people. I love to write. And so making Sense of Sense is a fairly passive business. So, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I love to write. That's what brings in the income. So, I mean, why not continue it? Yeah.
Right. About how many hours a week are you spending now?
So when I first left my day job and started blogging full time, I was probably working like 100 hours a week and making Sense of Sense. And that's because I really wanted to make it work. I mean, I left my good job and I wanted to prove to everyone, because everyone told me blogging's dead, or everyone told me, what is a blog? So, I mean, I feel like I had to prove to everyone else and to myself. So I was working like 100 hours a week. But lately, 40 hours would be a long week for me sometimes, especially since we just got the boat. Like, it's been more around like 10 to 20 hours a week. So it's been nice.
So logistically, how does that work? I'm assuming you need the internet. Do you wait till you get like close to a port before you can?
So right now, and in the RV, I just have like this little AT&T hotspot that I use, and it's been really good. I also hotspot off my phone, and for now, that's what we're going to do. And eventually, like when we go to the Bahamas, we'll probably pick up, like, there's little SIM cards in the Bahamas that you can get, and I'll probably rely on that.
And it doesn't slow you down or anything like that?
I think it'll probably slow me down soon, or eventually. It's just something you have to work around. It's pretty similar in the RV world too.
Did your parents teach you any money lessons?
So I always like to tell people, I'm sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this, my parents were completely different with money, and my mom wasn't the greatest. But my dad was really good. So I saw like lots of good money habits from my dad, and learned what not to do from my mom. And so having the two of them was definitely good for me, which, although I do wish my mom was always better, but she's definitely a lot better now. But some of the things that my dad taught me, like, my dad was a pilot, so he traveled a lot. And some of the things he taught me would be like he was super frugal, super saver, but he also told me that you have to enjoy your money as well. Like, still travel, still enjoy life. Like, you definitely need a healthy balance. And one conversation, though, that I always remember from being a kid is, I remember there was like a commercial on TV, and it was about like credit card debt. And I remember telling my dad, I was like 8 or something. I don't know why this always sticks in my head, but I always think about it. And I was just like, I'll never have credit card debt, Dad. Like, why would someone do that? And he was just like, well, I mean, credit cards aren't completely bad. Like, you can use them for things and stuff. Like, you can use them to your advantage. And that was back then, like, when points didn't exist or something. He just used it for like cash flow, but he would always pay off his balance. He never had credit card debt. And he's not alive today, but if only he could see like that you could like travel hack and stuff, I'm sure he'd be like, credit cards aren't bad at all. But I mean, for some people, I always like to note credit cards aren't for everyone, because I talk about travel hacking on my blog some, and some people are just completely anti-credit cards, and that is completely fine.
Yeah.
Some behaviors just aren't good for credit cards.
Right.
So
some people aren't meant to have.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your biggest money mistakes?
My biggest money mistakes. So when I was a teenager, I actually worked at a retail store, and I would like buy a bag full of clothing like every single day. And that was definitely one of my biggest mistakes. So at that job, you could actually like log in, and all your purchases were under your name, and you could see like exactly how much you spent. So me and my friends, we would all just like log in occasionally and like see like who spent the most, and like we would just make fun of the person forever. Luckily, I was never the top person, but it was always the same girl, and I'm still friends with her today. And I remember one time her said like $13,500, and it was just like, oh my god. And that was at a secondhand store. It was Plato's Closet or whatever, and it was just like, how do you spend almost $14,000 at a secondhand store? But it is possible,
obviously, right? What do people around you, what do you, like, your friends and family think about your success?
Everyone is still like very the same. I feel like everyone always tells me like, you're still like the exact same person. Like, no one would ever guess. I mean, just yesterday I was in an Uber coming to FinCon, and my Uber driver asked me like, there's no money in blogging. Like, you probably don't make anything,
like,
do you?
Tell you.
Well, no, I was just like, it was a 2-hour Uber, so I was like, I don't want to get into this right now. But it's just like, a lot of people just assume that you don't make anything. And so especially when we used to RV, if I just like went into the gas station and they would see me hop out of the RV. Almost every single time someone would comment on, "Oh, that stinks." Like, I feel so bad for you that you have to live in an RV.
What?
But then the other half, it was like literally 50% of people would feel bad for me and like offer me a place to stay. And then the other 50% would be like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. Like, can I join you?"
Right.
So, I mean, the way people treat you is just so opposite. And I've just learned to accept it all. The people who say like, "Oh, RVing, like that's sad and stuff." Like, I always would try to tell them like, it's amazing, because like, even though we stopped RVing, it was definitely the best thing ever, and I definitely know that we'll go back to that one day because it was amazing.
Did you keep the RV?
No, we sold it. It's too much work.
Yeah. Wanted to talk about some of the mediums that you use, like Pinterest and all of that. Do you have someone who helps you with that?
So for Pinterest, I used to do it all myself, but now I do like a mixture of two things, just to save myself time, and especially since we're living on a boat now, and I don't think internet will be like the greatest in a few months. So right now I have Simple Pen Media managing the bulk of it, and then I also have my sister going in like once a day and like pinning like the newest content, and also just like manually pinning some things every day too, just to get a good mixture of the two. But I'm definitely not a Pinterest expert. That's just what I do, and that's what I find works.
What do you use any other mediums to kind of help you get traffic to your site?
So for Pinterest, I should say Simple Pin like does everything through Tailwind, and I definitely recommend that if you're looking for a great like scheduler for Pinterest. Tailwind is really, really good, and you can do that yourself. You definitely don't need someone to do that for you. But if you want to save a ton of time, Simple Pin is great. Other things I use Hootsuite to schedule things to both of my Facebook groups and to Twitter. But for my Facebook page, I just go directly into the Facebook scheduler and I use that.
Now, are you doing all of that? You said
I do all of that.
So you are still doing all of that?
Oh, no, actually, my sister does the Facebook scheduler, but I do the groups and the Twitter.
Okay. And you manage groups as well?
Yep. Okay.
So we're nearing the end of the show, Michelle, and so we always ask our guests just a couple of closeout questions, and some of them we may have already covered, but I want to see if your answers are different if asked in a different way. What are some of the money lessons that you learned growing up, good or bad, that have carried over into your fight journey?
I would definitely say what my dad taught me, which was to still enjoy your money, travel, and have a healthy balance between saving and spending. I definitely still do that today. I mean, right now we're traveling full time. So, I mean, I definitely know that a healthy balance is what you need.
And we usually ask this one of parents, but I'm going to change it just a little bit. You have nieces or nephews, or?
I have a niece and two nephews.
Okay. All right. So you're going to be talking to your niece.
Two nieces and two nephews. Sorry.
So we don't want to leave anybody out. So you're talking to your nieces and nephews, and you have their undivided attention, and you want to convey to them one lesson in life about money. What would you want that to be for them?
That's definitely hard. It would definitely be something like find ways to enjoy your life. Like so many people think like, oh, I have to go to college, I have to get this job, buy that car, get a car loan, buy a house. And I just want them to know that like not everyone's life has to be the exact same. Like you definitely don't need a car loan to be happy. You definitely don't need to keep up with your neighbors. Buy all these useless things. Like do what you want to do. Like go for the job that you want. Explore the world. Do the things that you want to do in life. Just find your true happiness.
And what is the best way for people to find you?
That would definitely be by going to makingsenseofsense.com. And then if you want to follow like my travel, that would definitely be through Instagram, which is instagram.com/Michelle Schro.
Schro.
Yes.
SCHRO.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Michelle. Like I said, off the show, Tamika and I have followed you for a while, and I think you're living like the dream life. like that's what we always at least envision. I know, not a boat, but somewhere on the water.
Yeah.
And have my kids out there running around. So it's pretty amazing that you've made that happen.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, House of Five family, that brings this episode to a close. If you've liked what you've heard, please subscribe in iTunes, as well as any of the other platforms you've found us on. We're on just about all of them. Also, please leave us a written review. They help us to know what you're liking about the show, what we can do better. And for every 5 reviews we receive, that's written reviews, we will give away one of our favorite reads, and that is currently Kids' Money Habits by Amy Coit. It's a great book full of great information, both for parents and kids. Don't forget to check out our show notes on the webpage. There is always bonus information there that didn't make it to the show, and we strive to create good content on there. So please head on over to the website and check that out. Finally, you can find us on Facebook. You can either like our page or you can become part of our Facebook group. It's a private group, and in there we have ongoing discussions about each episode as well as other topics within the FI community. It's a way for us to get to know each other better and for Tamika and I to learn exactly what you want to hear more of or questions that you have that we can address with upcoming guests. Again, thank you for listening. Come back next week. We're glad you're here.